So after you've applied lotion to your entire face to make sure that your skin's nice and ready for the makeup to go on, you want to put a nice even foundation all over. And that's that light foundation that you can get, as light as you can get off your skin tone with it still being passable, as you can eventually get that back looking natural.
Now, what kind of lotion did you use here?
I just used some regular face lotion. It's hypoallergenic, so that's why I chose that one, so I could use it on anyone even if they had allergies. Yep, just use your fingers, rub the lotion all over, make sure it's nice and soaked in so that you're not going to have any little creases of lotion anywhere. And it just really makes sure that, like, if you have dry skin or your skin's kind of flaky, it makes sure to even all that out so that when we put this foundation base on, your skin is a nice clean palette, what we like to call a fresh sheet of paper, so that we can put our old face on top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting this foundation onto her face, and you can put it on just really thick, kind of in the middle of areas at first, just to get your product layered up on the skin. And then after you get it all nice in these big clumps everywhere, and you want to make sure to get your neck too, because unless you have a big turtleneck on your costume, people are going to see that as well. So after you get it on there, you're just going to want to spread it out throughout the whole face and make it nice and even. And after you get it spread out, you'll be able to tell where you might need to add a little bit more. Make sure to get on the eyelids, because you're going to be doing some stuff on your eyelids to create some wrinkles here in a little bit. She's got a nose ring, so I'm just going to kind of work around this a little bit and even that out. You want to get into those creases by your nose and really be sure to just get everything nice and even. So as we can see, her face is nice and even, all the same color, and it's pretty boring at the moment, which is what we're looking for in this first step, is we don't want to see much of anything other than just face. So the first step that we're going to do here is we're going to take our slightly lighter brown color, or you can use your light gray or your kind of muted green to do this. And I'm just going to get a little on the end of my brush here. And this brush is flat and straight, and I like it that way because I can get really straight lines when I'm putting it in. And if you're using a pencil, just make sure it's nice and sharp. I sharpened this one right before the show because you really want accurate lines when you're doing this, because you're going to spread those lines out along the way. So if you start out with really big, thick lines, it's a little harder to make the effect the way you want it afterwards. So how are we doing, Jeff? Doing good? You look good.
So one of the things that I'm doing a little differently is I've actually got a base powder. And this is a very common product these days. It's the Minerals.
Absolutely.
This one is hypoallergenic.
So the next step we're going into is we're going to make the base lines of our wrinkles. So you'll want to take your brush or your pencil and make sure it's nice and sharp or nice and flat and straight, and get that lighter brown color, that lighter shadow color, because you've got two shadow colors. You've got a dark and you've got a light, and you just choose the lighter one for this. And we start at the forehead. And what I'm going to have her do is do a surprise face where her eyebrows are up really high. There we go. So do you see all these lines that happen when she does that? Those are the wrinkle lines we're going to follow. You want to start in the middle and just follow those lines all the way out. And the fun thing about wrinkles is that you don't have to be exactly straight on the line, because people's skin isn't exactly straight on any kind of line. It definitely has its own paths that it takes and its own imperfections. And so those are really great for making everything look super real and super authentic. So just real big surprise. There we go. And I just keep following along those lines.
And if we do have an errant line, how easy is this to correct?
If we have a line that went wrong,
Yeah.
easiest way to take care of it, go back to your lotion, put a little dab of it on your finger, and just rub it away.
Okay.
And if you need to replace the foundation in that area, just kind of go back on, smooth it out, and just start the scrunching process again. There we go, and then you just fill in from there. So it's really easy to fix if something goes awry. And if your model or if you're having trouble keeping your face scrunched up while you're doing this, because sometimes it'll take a really long time, you can always have them do it really hard for a couple seconds. You can scrunch it really hard as you can for a couple seconds, and then a little bit of a leftover from the lines will usually stay there. If it doesn't, you're very lucky and your skin is very, very healthy and young.
Now, what if they have vertical lines?
If you have vertical lines, follow the vertical lines. It's all about, everyone's gonna look different once their old face is done because everyone has different wrinkle patterns and different expression patterns. I have very big smile lines on my face, and so those are always accentuated when I do an old face. While she's got quite a few lines that develop on her forehead when she does that surprise face, where I only have like 4 or 5. And so you don't always wanna follow every line all the way if you've got an ample amount, because that just starts looking a little crazy from up close. So just choose the ones that are most impactful to you and just follow those along. You can extend them out a little longer than their natural distance that they do, and that'll just make you a little older. Okay, great. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get in between those eyebrows. And so the best way to do that is just kind of a sourpuss face that everyone can occasionally get. So you scrunch your nose and your eyes together like you're squinting at something in the sun. And it makes all these fantastic wrinkles that you can follow. And you follow along with those as best you can. They're gonna come out from your eyes, and they're gonna go across your nose. Lots of them will be in kind of a Y pattern on your nose. And they're just gonna go all the way across there. And you always are gonna have these lines coming up out of your eyebrows that you wanna follow, because they're just nice expression lines. Might wanna continue this one in the middle a little further down, like she's got a wrinkly nose. And then you want to follow along these crow's feet that most old people will have on the side of her eye. Okay, now that I've spread out or added a little more color to certain areas that I wanted to have real thick, I'm gonna wipe my brush off so that the next color we use isn't muddied up by the color that I just put on. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take these fingers and I'm just gonna kind of smudge everything. Just a light little touch. The heat from your fingers is actually really important at this because it kind of melts the makeup a little bit. If you're using a cream makeup, doesn't do it if you're using powders so much, but with these cream makeups that you get at most of the Halloween stores, the fingers are the best because it melts that makeup a little bit and makes it just want to smudge out a little. And then you want to follow along these crow's feet that most old people will have on the side of their eye. And now that we've got the crow's feet done, we're going to create a line that isn't usually on people of a younger age bracket. Occasionally, if they're super tired and they've been working really hard, they'll have this line pretty obviously, but it's more of a color than an actual line. It's this pocket underneath your eye before your bone starts right here. We're just gonna draw a big loop on that. Because that'll end up looking like these really saggy old eyes when we get done. And so you just make your little base loop there. And that's where we can draw all the rest of these eye wrinkles out of. And like any of these eye wrinkles that you couldn't really access when her nose was scrunched, you can go in and fill them all the way into the center of the eye. But always be really careful working around your eyes because it is not pleasant to get makeup put in them. Okay. And so after you've made these nice bags under their eyes by making that line that follows this bone, you can feel it, that goes all the way around the edge of your eye. You just want to follow that bone line and put a line there. You want to go start about the middle of the eyebrow and do a straight line down to the corner of your eye. And this one doesn't have to be too precise. I mean, she was very helpful by closing her eye for me right then. But there's a lot of wrinkles that end up on old people's eyelids. They're very soft skin and it gets very loose very quickly. And so you just follow this because this will make her eye look nice and sunken in. And then she's got a nice little wrinkle that I can follow right there. We'll just do the same thing to the other side. All right, now that we've got the top half of her face done, we're gonna go with the lower half. And sometimes the lower half can be harder because there aren't as many wrinkles that really stand out to you. You can't really contort your face the way you can at the top with the bottom. The best thing to do for your mouth is where I usually start when I get down to the bottom, is purse your lips so that you can see all the little wrinkles that will come up in them. Yeah. And even if you want to kind of bring them in, yeah, like that, that's perfect. So I can just follow these little lines that naturally happen with your lips. You just want to extend them out. And you even want to put it up on your lip too, the shadow, because you're trying to create the effect of wrinkly lips just as much as you are a wrinkly face. So it's all a matter of just getting those in there. And if you can't find any wrinkles on your mouth, that actually happened with the model I was practicing on last night. I just kind of made some just in the middle and off to the sides, and it had a nice effect. And you'll also want to just kind of fill in this little divot in the middle of your lip, a little thicker than everywhere else so that it looks like it's wrinkled, like it's a deep cavern in the middle of your face. From there, you want to follow this line that happens right here. You can see it on most everyone, but it's hard to define in a straight single line sometimes. So you just want to go start at the peak of your nose and then follow out around. So I'm going to start here where her nose kind of curls. I'm going to follow out this way. And she's got these wonderful cheeks that I can just wrap around and it'll affect it. And eventually this is going to look like a nice droopy cheek. And that's very fun because gravity has taken its toll.